Good evening and welcome to News at 6. I am Vishal Dahiya. Let's take a look at the headlines first. Tributes paid to the 25 CRPF men martyred in the Sukma attack, calling it a cold-blooded murder. Home Minister Rajnath Singh pledges that their sacrifice won't go in vain. One-day shutdown observed in Tamil Nadu in support of droughted farmers. DMK President M.K. Stalin and senior party colleagues court arrest in Thiruvarur. Nine years after her arrest, prime accused in the Malegaon case, Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur, granted bail by the Bombay High Court. The NIA had given her clean chit last May. And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley acknowledges problem of non-performing assets, assures that the problem is confined only to 20 or 30 big accounts. Now let's take a look at the news in detail. Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Raman Singh, along with other top officials, paid tributes to the 25 CRPF jawans who were martyred in a Maoist attack in Sukma district yesterday. In other states, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister K. Palaniswamy condoled the death of 4 CRPF jawans from the state while announcing an assistance of Rs 20 lakh to the families. West Bengal Chief Minister also visited the residence of CRPF jawan K.K. Das, who was martyred in the attack on Monday, and announced 5 lakh as assistance to the family.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Tuesday termed the Sukma attack by Chhattisgarh Maoists as a cold-blooded murder. 25 CRPF men were martyred in the attack. The minister assured that the centre and state will ensure the perpetrators are brought to justice. Expressing pain over the incident, Singh asserted that the sacrifice of the soldiers will not go in vain.
कल सुकमा में वामपंथी ग्रुप द्वारा जो हमला किया गया है उसे मैं बेहद कायरतापूर्ण मानता हूं और इसे दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण भी मानता हूं और मैं यह मानता हूं कि वामपंथी उग्रवादियों के द्वारा किया गया यह कोल्ड ब्लडेड मर्डर है.
Rajnath Singh also said the centre will review and revise its left-wing extremism strategy. Singh also called for a meeting with various state governments on the issue in New Delhi on May 8th. Earlier, Rajnath, Chief Minister Raman Singh and MOS Hansraj Ahir paid tribute to the martyred CRPF personnel during the wreath-laying ceremony. He also visited the injured personnel at the Ramakrishna Care Hospital.
हमारे सीआरपीएफ के बहादुर जवानों का यह बलिदान किसी भी सूरत में हम लोग व्यर्थ नहीं जाने देंगे. हमने इसे चुनौती के रूप में स्वीकार किया है. इसीलिए यह भी फैसला किया है कि हमारी जो LWE की स्ट्रेटजी है उसको हम पुनः रिव्यू करने जा रहे हैं. जरूरत होगी तो हम उसे रिवाइज भी करेंगे और 8 मई को दिल्ली में वह बैठक मैंने बुलाई है और कई राज्यों के अधिकारी उस बैठक में मौजूद रहेंगे.
The Chhattisgarh police reported the dense vegetation in the area allowed the Maoists to get close to the patrol and surround the soldiers.
मतलब कि काफी यहाँ पे आप जो देख रहे हैं काफी झाड़ी नुमा और काफी पेड़ पौधे हैं और जिसके कारण से वो काफी नजदीक आ गए थे और जिसके कारण से एक सीमित एरिया में जो सीआरपीएफ के जवान थे उनको घेर लिया और उसके बाद दोनों तरफ से लगभग करीबन 1.5 घंटे तक कंटिन्यूअस फायरिंग चलती रही.
The opposition came together to criticize the centre over the Sukma attack.
जब तक आप दूर दराज जंगलों में रहने वाले आदिवासियों को विश्वास में नहीं लेंगे तो ये हिंसा समाप्त नहीं होगी. आपको वहां की कोई इंटेलिजेंस नहीं मिल पाती है. वहां के लोग बाग आप पर भरोसा नहीं करते हैं, विश्वास नहीं करते हैं.
एक बार फिर मोदी सरकार उग्रवाद का सामना करने में पूरी तरह विफल रही है. नोटबंदी जब हुई थी तो उस वक्त प्रधानमंत्री ने अपने भाषण में कई बार कहा था, दोहराया था कि नोटबंदी से उग्रवाद पर भी नियंत्रण होगा और काफ़ी हद तक हम उसे काबू में करेंगे.
ये जो जवान शहीद हुए हैं उनको नमन करता हूं और अफसोस जाहिर करता हूं इस देश की सुरक्षा व्यवस्था पर कि उनका आज की तारीख में सीआरपीएफ का कोई डायरेक्टर भी नहीं है.
Following the attack, the neighbouring states of Madhya Pradesh and Odisha sealed their borders and sounded a high alert. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the bereaved families of the 25 Jawans who lost their lives on Monday mourn the death of their loved ones.
Chinari village in Bihar's Sasaram district is in mourning, a day after CRPF Jawan Krishna Kumar Pandey was martyred in a Maoist ambush on Monday. The youngest of 6 brothers, Krishna Kumar had returned to duty after visiting his family just last month. He had promised his mother that he would see her again at the wedding of his niece on May 5th. It was not to be. On Monday, a phone call informed that Krishna Kumar had been martyred. Married in 2013, the CRPF Jawan leaves behind his wife, Anita Devi, and a 7-month-old daughter.
छोटा था, नौकरी के पहले भी आके पूछा करता था। वो बहुत उसको साहस दिया करते थे कि बाबू तुम अगर जाना चाहते हो, भारत माता की सेवा करना चाहते हो तो जाओ, तुम जरूर करोगे। लास्ट में जब हो गया तो बड़ी खुशी थी उसको, और जब भी आता था, कभी भी आता था, तो गांव के हर लोगों से मिलता था।
It's the same story in neighboring Patna, where a grief-stricken family is mourning the death of a son who made the supreme sacrifice. The family of CRPF Jawan Saurabh Kumar says they are proud of his martyrdom for the nation.
हम तो मुझे इस पर गर्व है, इसमें कोई मुझे परेशानी, कोई दुख तो है, मगर चूंकि मेरा बेटा देश के लिए शहीद हुआ है, तो मेरा अगर अगला बेटा भी है, बेटा और भी है, अगर रहेगा तो मुझे गर्व होगा।
In one of the deadliest attacks till date, 25 CRPF personnel were martyred in an ambush by Naxalites in Chhattisgarh's Surkma district on Monday. The men belonged to the CRPF's 74th Battalion that was assisting the local population in road building activity in the district when they were attacked. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A dawn to dusk shutdown called in support of the droughted farmers of Tamil Nadu saw a mixed response on Tuesday. The Bandh, called by the opposition DMK, also saw the party's working president M.K. Stalin courting arrest in the Kaveri Delta region of Tiruvallur. Government offices in Chennai were open and public transport operated normally. A series of protests, including rail roko, were held in some parts of the state, including Tiruchirappalli, Coimbatore, Madurai and Kanchipuram. Shops, local vegetable markets and a section of private establishments were shut down in response to the Bandh call. Thousands of police personnel were deployed across the state to maintain law and order. Opposition parties, including DMK, Congress, CPIM, CPI, VCK and IUML, apart from the Farmers Union affiliated to them, and farmers' bodies and the film fraternity, backed the shutdown.
Delta farmers agitate today for the calling the Bandh due to the government, which is not consider the even the Supreme Court order. They are ordered to appoint the management committee of the Kaveri River Water.
Bandh has been very successful, and it's against the Modi and Modi's Binami in Tamil Nadu. The people against it.
We now joined by a reporter Panchanan Mishra from Nagapattinam on this. Panchanan, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu met the protesting farmers at Janta Manta when he was here for the Niti Aayog meeting, and now the opposition had called for a statewide bandh. Clearly, a lot of political angle also being added to this entire issue. Has there been any specific decision which has been taken by the Tamil Nadu government, or are they planning to go ahead and respond to the farmers' demand in some way or the other in the days to come?
The problem of entire farmers of Tamil Nadu is very severe. We visited almost 6 to 7 districts, and especially in the Kaveri Delta area where the problem is very severe, because this area totally depends on only Kaveri water. No groundwater is here. So since last 2 years, you can say there is no crops, either the summer crop or it is this summer crop. So the problem is very severe, and that's why the political party, especially the opposition party, DMK, is trying to catch it up as a field for its upcoming, you can say, a political endeavor. So the Bandh called by DMK and joined by Congress and left parties and also Muslim League. So this was there's a mixed reaction about this Bandh. But as far as the farmers' plight is concerned, farmers suspended their agitation at Jantar Mantar for up to 25th of May. And they called the government should take any action, any concrete action. It may be a constitution of Kaveri Management Board or a committee to monitor entire situation, and also the complete waiver of the crop loans for the farmers and land loans. So these are the main issues, but till now the central government has waived off had provided the assistance of 1730 crore rupees for the farmers, but the state is demanding 39,000 rupees. So it's looking difficult, any decision right now. But the farmers' agitation is looking very severe. It's looking very concrete. So I think the state must have to decide something to save also in perspective of AIADMK. Vishal.
Okay, thank you, Panchanan. So clearly, it seems the state government is looking for more assistance from the centre, and farmers meanwhile will, it seems, have to wait a little more. Let's move on to the next news. Nearly 9 years after her arrest, prime accused Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur was granted bail by the Bombay High Court on Tuesday in the 2008 Malegaon blast case. This comes after the NIA gave her a clean chit in May last year. Thakur has been asked to furnish 5 lakh bail amount and 2 sureties of the same amount. The court also directed her to surrender her passport to the NIA. However, the court rejected an appeal filed by another co-accused in the same case, former army officer Colonel Prasad Purohit. Around 7 people were killed in the blast on September 29, 2008 at Malegaon. India and Sri Lanka are all set to finalize a joint mechanism for development of the Trincomalee port. A petroleum refinery will also be established near this port. This is the Tamil inhabited area of Sri Lanka, and the move is expected to increase employment for local Tamils to large extent.
Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived in Delhi on Tuesday on a working visit to India. His talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday are expected to focus on the regional situation and the fishermen issue. An MOU for the joint development of the Trincomalee port is also scheduled to be signed.
26th April will be the main day of his official engagements in New Delhi. Our Prime Minister will be hosting a luncheon meeting with His Excellency Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe on the 26th of April. External Affairs Minister, the Minister of Home Affairs and the Minister for Road Transport and Highways and Shipping will be calling on the visiting Sri Lankan dignitary. The visit of the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka to India from 25th April is part of our continuing engagement with the government of Sri Lanka at the highest level.
Wickremesinghe will also meet Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Shipping Minister Nitin Gadkari. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will also meet him. At a time when China is trying to encroach on India's traditional space in the island nation, the visit of Sri Lankan Prime Minister also shows the increasing communication and also the significance that both countries attach to each other. The Prime Minister Modi is also slated to visit Sri Lanka next month. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now let's take a look at the updates from across the country in Nationwide. RBI Governor Urjit Patel on Tuesday said merging public sector banks will help to deal with the problems of non-performing assets. Addressing the Kotak Family Distinguished Lecture at Columbia University in New York, Patel said the system could be better off if they are consolidated into fewer but healthier banks. The CBSE on Tuesday scrapped the moderation policy. This comes after it requested the HRD ministry to develop a consensus among all state boards to remove the marks moderation policy. Under the moderation policy, examinees are awarded up to 15% extra marks in certain papers if the questions are deemed to be difficult. A Delhi court on Tuesday awarded 7 years jail term to gangster Chhota Rajan and 3 others in connection with a fake passport case. The court also imposed a fine of rupees 15,000 on each of them. The charges against Rajan was framed for procuring a fake passport in the name of Mohan Kumar with the help of 3 government officials. Former Uttar Pradesh Minister Gayatri Prajapati and his 2 associates were granted bail by a protection of children from sexual offences court in connection with the rape case. The court asked all the accused to furnish 2 sureties of rupees 1 lakh each and a personal bond of the same amount. The FIR was registered against Prajapati and 6 others on the directive of the Supreme Court. Let's take a short break here.
Make this country into a Congress Mukt Bharat. Are you going to resort to the same strategy where you'll be breaching the fortresses of other parties?
Congress is a culture. We have to get rid of that culture.
RSS will be emboldened now with the kind of mandate which BJP has got, and they will try and impose a Hindutva agenda. Does it really isolate the minorities, especially the Muslims?
All those who have been talking like this, they have always tried to disturb the secular character of this country.
Health policy also talks about increased spending, about 2% of the GDP. That figure is insufficient.
These are all wrong notions. We have to increase the capacity to spend.
Watch To The Point with Union Health Minister Jagat Prakash Nadda only on Rajya Sabha television.
Homai Vyarawala, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Vyarawala entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Vyarawala clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Gandhiji, Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favourite. In 2011, Homai Vyarawala was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's 2nd highest civilian award.
Welcome back. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has acknowledged that the problem of non-performing assets is adversely impacting the Indian banking system. Speaking at the Council of Foreign Relations in New York, Jaitley called NPAs in the banking sector a big challenge that was adversely impacting investments in India. The Finance Minister said since the issue of non-performing assets is confined to only 20 to 30 big accounts, it is possible to deal with it. He, however, blamed the anti-corruption law from the pre-liberalization era of 1980s as one of the factors that hindered a resolution of the problem and asserted that the government was giving top priority to address the issue of bad loans. Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian has said that any serious actions taken by the Trump administration on the program will be a cause of worry. The chief economic advisor said that nearly 50 to 60% of India's export services go to the US, and hence H-1B visa curbs will be a cause of worry for India. He also said that India is keeping a close watch on the US visa reforms and that the country will be okay as long as these reforms are manageable. He was speaking at the Peterson Institute in Washington. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had earlier taken up the H-1B issue with the American administration and highlighted the contribution Indian companies and professionals are making to the US economy. President Donald Trump recently signed an executive order for tightening the rules of the H-1B visa program to stop its abuse and ensure that the visas are given to the most skilled or highest paid petitioners, a decision that would impact India's $150 billion IT industry. At least 10 people were killed today in a roadside bomb blast that hit a minibus in northwest Pakistan. The improvised explosive device blast took place in the Quran tribal district on the border with Afghanistan. At least 8 children and 2 women were reported to be among the dead. 13 people were injured in the explosion and were shifted to nearby hospital. An M-17 helicopter was being sent to the agency headquarters to bring the injured to Peshawar for treatment. Meanwhile, no group claimed responsibility for the attack.
کلی گودر ما پیکاپ راتلو مشمون زنانا ورکیو لیاری کی او یو بم بلاست پښوی د تقریبا 8-10 ورکې شهیدان شوی 13-14 زخمیان شوی دي او گاڑی مکمل تباہ شوی دي.
हमारे पास जो अभी तक फिगर्स आ रही है उन फिगर्स के मुताबिक 10 जो है वो इसमें शहीद हुए हैं और इसमें खवातीन और बच्चे भी शामिल हैं, जबकि 13 इंजर्ड हैं, जिसमें से 2 बाय रोड पहले ही हमने सदा से रवाना कर दिए थे. अभी 9 बंदे यहाँ से हेलीपैड हमने थ्रू हेली CMH पेशावर भेज दिए हैं और 2 बंदे जो हैं वो हमारे पास पाराचनार हॉस्पिटल में हैं.
U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis arrived in Afghanistan on Monday on an unannounced visit hours after his Afghan counterpart resigned over a deadly Taliban attack. Paying his first visit to Afghanistan as Pentagon chief, Mattis met with President Ashraf Ghani, other officials and U.S. military commanders. Friday's attack at an army base near the northern Mazar-e-Sharif city has caused widespread anger. It was Taliban's deadliest attack on the armed forces since US-led forces drove them from power in 2001. The Donald Trump administration has not yet appointed an ambassador to Afghanistan or set out its strategy for the region. Recent visits, however, could signal new engagement. Ahead of the French presidential runoff poll on 7th May, far-right candidate Marine Le Pen announced that she was stepping aside as leader of her National Front party to focus on the election campaign. Le Pen said she needed to be above partisan considerations and that President of the Republic must bring together all of the French people. The move to step down comes just a day after Pen reached the second round of the French election, where she will face political novice Emmanuel Macron. Le Pen's move is significant considering France's defeated political establishment is rallying against her. All political parties that faced defeat in the first round of polls are now backing Macron. On Monday, Macron won the backing of President Hollande to go with that of the 2 defeated candidates, Republican and Socialist ones, who have never held election in office, came in the first among 11 candidates in the first round with 24% of the vote. Pen was second with 21.3% according to final results. The result amounted to a comprehensive rejection of the traditional politics in France.
Je pense que nous approchons du moment décisif. Moi, j'ai toujours considéré que le président de la République est le président de tous les Français et qu'à ce titre, il doit donc rassembler tous les Français. Alors, c'est une conviction profonde, mais il faut maintenant passer des paroles aux actes et c'est la raison pour laquelle il m'est apparu indispensable de me mettre en congé de la présidence du Front National.
Face à un tel risque, il n'est pas possible de se taire, pas davantage de se réfugier dans l'indifférence. La mobilisation s'impose, mais également la clarté des choix. Pour ma part, je voterai Emmanuel Macron. Je salue d'ailleurs toutes les personnalités et les formations politiques qui, au-delà même des réserves qu'elles peuvent avoir à l'égard de son projet, ont appelé à en faire de même.
Now let's take a look at some international news in Global Buzz. At least 26 people were killed and many others injured on Tuesday in a head-on crash between a bus and a truck on the highway between Nairobi and Kenyan city Mombasa. According to officials, the bus heading was overtaking several vehicles when it collided with an oil tanker. Road accidents kill around 3,000 people in Kenya every year. China on Tuesday called for joint efforts to resolve the issue on the Korean peninsula after North Korea staged a large-scale artillery drill and a US submarine docked in South Korea. North Korea conducted a big live fire exercise to mark the 85th founding ceremony of the KPA today, while US submarine USS Michigan docked in a naval base in Busan in a show of force. US submarine USS Michigan arrived in South Korea amid worries of another North Korean missile or nuclear test. It is set to join an incoming group of warships led by aircraft carrier Carl Vinson. Meanwhile, the entire US Senate has been asked to attend a briefing on North Korea at the White House on Wednesday. So that's all in this news bulletin. Keep watching Rajya Sabha television.